Hello guys, and welcome back to Female Safety Stories. I've been so wanting to do this episode because there has been a lot that went on since my last video, which I did on my K-pop channel, and I asked you guys to submit your female safety stories, and there was a lot of you guys. I picked some that I would think was very important to share with you guys. So remember, if you have your own stories, leave a comment down below. I'm gonna continue doing these series so that we could help each other and just stay safe, you know? So recently, I really want to share, it was Halloween recently, and so me and my friends gathered and we were making these TikTok videos. They were super fun to do. So we found this little tiny corner, I guess, like it was leading to some kind of apartment. So we were in this alleyway doing our TikTok videos when all of a sudden these tall guys with masks on, and they literally had like gas masks on with bats in their hands. Now when it's Halloween, you just think it's funny, like haha, you have a mask on, oh, you have a bat on, I guess your concept is a bad boy, I don't know. So while we were dancing, these guys were behind us and we were laughing like haha, you want to be in our video, but they weren't saying anything. No, they didn't say anything, and they just kept on staring at us, which I thought at first was a concept, you know? But then I realized, wait, they have literally bats, like baseball bats. Like this could be pretty dangerous. And obviously I had my bag there, like we probably had our wallets. This could go very wrong. They technically have weapons. And I think they just got the vibe and they just started to slowly walk away without saying anything. The whole time they didn't say anything, and because they had masks on, you can't really see what they look like. And there was a recent story in Japan where this guy dressed up as Joker on the subway and he started to create fire in the subway, and he was caught, charged with potential, you know, causing harm and murder. So you guys, seriously, Halloween could be very dangerous, and I never knew that until this time. I have more stories I want to share you guys, but I want to say a big shout out to today's sponsor, Blueland. Unlike your traditional liquid cleansers that are sold in single-use plastics, with Blueland, all you need to do is clean your house or hands in this nickel-sized tablet. And there's not enough recycling options, especially where I live. So depending where you live, recycling could be very difficult. So I fill my Forever water bottle with warm to hot water, drop one of the tablets, and it's really satisfying to see them sizzle away. And in minutes, I can start using these cute bottles. So with Blueland, all you need to do is buy one-time bottles. I mean, water is pretty much free in your house, and a lot of these products are like 80-90% water. And I think they're just so aesthetically made as well, perfect for your bathroom. I really think it's time that we start switching to forever bottles instead of one single-use plastic, because we don't even know when these plastic bottles will actually break down. If you're getting the kit already, you're getting a 20% savings. And plus, I have a 15% off code for you guys down in the description box below. Absolutely love the idea that you're able to only fill with tablets and use your own water at your house. It is saving so much money and so much plastics. Thank you so much to Blueland, and I'm personally ready to make these small changes. When I was younger, around 7, I was hanging out with my girl cousin. One time when I was helping out Sandy, my cousin, cooking with me, handling things she needed, her older brother went behind my back. He was reaching for something above their cupboard, but I felt like he took a sniff of my head. I didn't want to think of it at the time because I just wanted to enjoy my time with the girl cousin. When I was around 10, I don't know if it was just a coincidence, but he kind of grazed a hand down my bum. That startled me again. I brushed it off. When I was 17, I went to my parents' workplace and decided to do a summer job. At that time, the apartment we were in only had 4 rooms and there were 15 workers my parents had. So we had to share rooms with them. 2 of my guy cousins, me and my parents. There was a bed in the middle where I slept in while my parents were on the floor by my side, while my 2 cousins were on the left side. There was a curtain that me and my mom set up and divided it into 2 parts of the room. One time I woke up and saw a hand on my legs. It wasn't that bright yet since it was only 4 a.m., but I can see like a silhouette in the dark. I freaked out inside but didn't want to wake anyone. I just stayed up until the sun was fully up, making sure that one who touched me know that I'm awake. When it was around 7, my mom asked why I was up early, with me replying I just did. When all of them went away, me and my parents stayed behind. I told them what happened. My mom believed me because it turned out that she had experienced being peeked on when she was younger too by a relative as well. My father didn't want to press on it because he didn't want another employee leaving, but he did ask them to sleep on another room with the pretense that it was too tight for all of us to sleep in the room. When I was 19, I heard that my pervy cousin and his 2 daughters will sleep at their grandma's house because he had something to drink and was not fit to drive home. I heard that his wife called and didn't want her 2 daughters sleeping beside him, so they slept with their aunts in their room. His wife is even worried of him doing things to their daughters. Going for your cousin is one thing, but to do it to your daughters is much worse. I just hope he won't go through things to his daughters like he did to me. Your cousin? You know, they say the bad guy is usually around you and someone that's closest to you. And honestly, if I was your father and if I was a parent, I wouldn't just say sleep in another room. I would say get out and never see you again. And also, I would be recording things. I would totally record things and have them as evidence. Is it just me? But how do these people even end up getting married? Like, kind of know that they're a little weird, but still marry them, you know what I mean? And the fact that his wife is still wary of him, and like I would be getting that divorce so fast. Like, this is just absolutely wrong. Thank God you told your parents, because who knows what could have happened next. Next is Melly B. Okay, so this actually happened when I was visiting Korea for the first time in 2018. Me and my friends were renting an Airbnb apartment in Seoul, Mangwon area. We actually felt quite safe because we were always staying and traveling together. One night, we came home after clubbing in Hongdae. Woo, clubbing in Hongdae is lit. Since we were living on a higher floor, we usually took the elevator. When we arrived at our floor, my friend immediately went to her door to type in the passcode. When I stepped out behind her, I saw a man. He was young, maybe 26, 27 years old. Ing. In the dark corner where the stairs were. He noticed that I was looking at him and did not stop. He actually stepped out of the corner and slowly walked in our direction, smiling. I will never forget this moment. I was so scared that I couldn't even say a word. Meanwhile, my friend finished typing in the code and our door opened. I followed my friend into the apartment and quickly closed the door behind me. My heart was racing so hard because I was afraid he might try to follow us. When I looked into the peephole to see if he was there, I couldn't see anything. My friend was super shocked and disgusted when I told her, because she didn't even realize that the person was hiding in the dark at our floor at 3 a.m. After that, I never used the stairs again, and even using the elevator made me anxious. I'm glad that we were together most of the time. I don't even want to imagine what could have happened if it was just one of us. Till this day, I'm still wondering if we were just incredibly unlucky to be there at the time, or if he knew we lived there and used this floor purposely. You always hear that Seoul, Korea is really safe and might let your guards down, but remember that there are bad people everywhere around the world. That's absolutely true. Korea is absolutely safe, especially at night, because a lot of things are 24/7, but there's weird people everywhere around the world. And the first time that I did this series, I also shared a story about what happened to me in the subway, where it was similar to this story, and this guy kept following me while Ing. And I don't know if Melly, you told someone or not, but I also didn't tell anyone when this happened to me as well, and I regret it so much. What if this person picked this floor purposely because they knew that you guys, I'm guessing that you guys are foreigners, you know, especially people who don't speak Korean, like they could try to take advantage and like, but I know that being in a foreign country, like going to the police is really hard, but tell your Airbnb host or something, like tell someone. All right, so here's a quick story that came from me. I don't know if I shared this story. I don't think I did, but it was back in April, so it happened a couple months ago, and it was during the time of still that Asian hate that was going on because of COVID, and there was actually a lot of cases where people were being pushed to the subway. So I was in the subway trying to get to my friend so that we could have a nice tea date, and I was waiting for the subway looking at my phone like this, and I was watching some TikToks with my earphone on, when all of a sudden in my peripherals I saw this man. He was pretty old. He was like in his 50s, and I'm describing what he looked like. This has nothing to do with race. I just have to describe what he looks like just in case, like if anyone sees him in the future. Again, I think he had like blackish gray hair. He didn't have too much hair on his head, I remember, and he had a pretty dark skin tone. Like he seemed somewhere from Middle Eastern country. He had a dark colored vest and like a jacket on. It was kind of cold at the time, and the biggest thing I remember about this guy is the fact that he had the meanest evil look, and he was dead staring at me. Like I've never seen in my life the eyes of someone that wanted to do such evil. He just had a dark energy and like a dark face. Like that's all I can describe as. Now, do I know if he wanted to push me or what he wanted to do? I think what he wanted to do was take my bag, because I had a bag that was gifted to me, my YSL bag, like one luxury bag that I have. I think that's what he was eyeing on. He knew that I saw him, and he walked right past me and he was behind me. So then I looked back at him, and he continued to dead ass stare at me. That's when I knew that I had to get out of there, so I started walking toward where there were more people. And I remember there were guys actually staring at me because they noticed that this guy was suspicious. But again, first and last time that I'll ever wear something expensive or luxurious. So if I ever see this guy on TV, I'll let you guys know. Don't have any loud music on. Thank God I was just watching TikTok, which wasn't loud music, so I was able to kind of catch my surroundings. But if I was listening to loud music, who knows, I might not even have caught this guy. So I don't want to listen to music in the subway anymore. And after that incident, I bought a pepper spray, and I always bring it whenever I'm going somewhere far. T says, I was on a long distance bus traveling to visit my sister in college town. The bus departs in the evening and would travel for 14 to 16 hours, so destination around brunch the next day. When I got on the bus, there was already a man in the seat next to me, to my left. In conversations, I learned that he was a school teacher and on his way, together with his colleagues, to a conference. I told him I was in the 11th grade but used fake details outside of that. Good job, I do that too. He then proceeded to talk about how it breaks his heart when he sees young girls in their relationships/interactions where they can be exploited, and he hopes that I will stay away from older men who may be looking to take advantage of younger girls. That's an interesting conversations he's having. While I didn't particularly care for the conversations, I had hoped that his stance meant that I would be relatively safe with him as my seatmate. Not so. In the early morning, I felt something touching my thigh that I kept having to remove it. It was his hands. I wasn't fully conscious, so I fell asleep again only to wake up and realize that he was holding my left hand while unzipping his pants. I quickly snatched my hands and sat on it. Instead of leaving me alone, this man then proceeded to whisper and ask me to help him out. I was in disbelief because of the way he presented himself last night versus right now. I too whispered no and kept asking him to leave me alone as he continued to beg me to help him out. I only stopped when I turned my entire body away from him and got louder with my protest to please leave me alone. I stayed awake underneath my small blanket for a while, waiting to see if he'd tried anything before falling asleep again. When I woke up, he had moved his thigh and was kicking with his colleagues in a different section. I guess kicking is like laughing? I contemplated of reporting it but didn't because I was embarrassed as well and didn't want to have to see him again. This is the craziest story I've ever seen. First of all, I've never rode in a bus that takes you like overnight, like 14 hours. Oh my god. I think there should be a law where you can't sit next to minors. Like, why would a minor be able to sit next to a grown adult? That just doesn't make sense. I'm thinking, did nobody hear him say that? I mean, I get he was whispering, but it was pretty quiet at night, and I'm sure he said no multiple times, and the fact that he was doing that, like, it just gets me so angry, the fact that he was also a teacher, a trusted person. If it was me, again, personally, I would be taking evidence, pull out my phone, and record that stuff. And I would just not recommend you traveling alone ever like that again, especially a long distance like that. And it gets me to think that because a lot of people don't report it, they get away with it and they do it again and then again. Next submission says, I was walking home alone at night because me and my friend's house aren't too far apart and we generally live in a rather safe part of the city. There were literally no people around, and that made me actually safer than being around a few people. Fast forward to where I was almost at my house, I suddenly heard loud walking noises. I got chills when from the corner of my eye, I noticed a very suspicious looking man who seemed to follow me. I tried to trick where you turn around the same directions for 4 times to see if someone is following you, and he did. By that time, I also realized that it was a woman and not a man. Just when she was about to grab my arm, I was scared to death. A couple around their 40s, I'm 16 years old, came up to me since they saw what was happening for a few minutes. They approached me and directly said something that I'll never forget. Hey Lizzie, why haven't you come home yet? It's way past your bedtime, and by the way, who is that woman next to you? Anyway, let's drive you home. Oh, and ma'am, you should go home too, you will catch a cold. The woman disappeared after that. I hugged them and told me I should be careful and bring protection next time I'm out late. 2 weeks after all of that happened, the news stated that a man just got arrested for raping and killing teens and young women, plus he had a female accomplice who was engaged in human trafficking. And who would have guessed it was her? Are you serious? I am so grateful. I don't know what would have happened if they weren't there at that moment. Oh my god, these couples were like angels. Holy crud. As you guys could see, things could happen in safe neighborhoods. Like, I live in a safe neighborhood, but it could happen to anyone at any time. Last story we have is by Amaya. I was just 11 years old when this happened. Most children go to school by a school van and have been going in the same van for a couple of years, and my parents were pretty close with the driver. There was this boy who was maybe 6 years older than me. I guess he was a teenager, and he always sits at the back while I sit in the front. He would always joke around with me, but I didn't think bad of him. I'm one of the people who would usually get home lastly, and one day it was just me, him, and the driver. Suddenly, he came to the front seat and he was near the door. When I'm getting down, I have to pass through him. And when I was about to get off, he just grabbed me and I was on his lap. Started kissing me and he was holding me tight. And I saw even the driver was just watching and just kept on laughing. Somehow I managed to push him and ran home, but till this day I haven't told anybody about this. Amaya, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but you said the parents are close with the driver. But I would tell your parents, because if they were close then, they would probably know who this person is by now. And the fact that the driver, the adult, was watching and didn't do anything, he or she thought that this was normal, is absolutely wrong. And I know it could have been a couple years from now, and I would still go up and tell your parents what happened. It's embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me to open up these kind of story to my parents. It just goes to show you that, like, you're not safe around certain people that you trust. I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for sharing these stories. I know it's hard to open up because people just need a little bit of courage to even speak up. A lot of people don't speak up, and having this open conversation could really help someone to have courage just in case something else happens in the future. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell because I reply to all my early birds. Remember to check out Blue Land down in the description box below, and stay safe, you guys. See you in my next video.